Star Wars Outlaws gameplay was first revealed almost 10 months ago, and we now know that it will release on August 30th this year on PC, PS5, Xbox Series S and X. But what should you expect from this game, and what exactly is it? Well, I thought that it would be fun to take a look in detail at this game. I've scoured the internet, and Ubisoft actually sponsored this video too, thanks to them, giving me access to a new trailer that has some juicy information in it. And the link for the game is below if you're interested in checking it out for yourself. So then, Star Wars Outlaws, it's a single-player, third-person adventure game. It's set in an open-world Star Wars universe, and the story is canon too. It's being developed by Ubisoft studio Massive Entertainment based out of Sweden, and yes, it's running on the Snowdrop engine, and that's a gorgeous looking engine that you may be familiar with if you've played The Division or the more recent Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game. Now, Outlaws is being pitched as the first true open-world Star Wars RPG, and it's set between the events of Empire Strikes Back, that's my favourite Star Wars movie, and Return of the Jedi. Seeing Han Solo in Carbonite there in the trailer and Jabba the Hutt, well, obviously, that gave the game away, didn't it? And you play as a thief and a scoundrel, you don't hear that word too often nowadays, called Kay Vess, who is seeking freedom and the means to start a new life. Kay's got herself into a bit of a pickle though, a bit of a sticky situation, and found herself with a bounty on her head. She's looking for work, and that's what leads her to the underground world. You're going to have to take on various high-stakes missions, including stealing valuable goods and infiltrating secret locations, taking place at a time when the Galactic Empire relentlessly pursues the final defeat of the Rebel Alliance. And in that time period, the criminal underworld is thriving, and Kay Vess must pull off one of the greatest heists the Outer Rim has ever seen. That's the setup for the story, and you're going to be coming face to face with the galaxy's crime syndicates here, maybe showing off a different face of the Star Wars universe while trying to survive and come out on the other side. During the game, you'll cross paths with the Pikes, the Hutts, and a new syndicate that's being crafted especially for this game by Massive and Lucasfilms called the Ashiga Clan. You're not going to be on your own though. You of course have got a sidekick, Nix. Nix is a Merkel, a rare and exotic creature, and while he looks cute, he can be vicious when needed. He's not just there for the ride though, and you can use him to distract guards, activate switches and doors, and he can even grab weapons, blasters and ammo for you, bringing it back to Kay. He can apparently help you with puzzles too. Not sure how that's going to work, and also he can attack enemies. In interviews that I've watched, the devs have said that the two are almost connected, and Kay can sense when something isn't right just from the reaction of Nix. Nix is definitely a core part of the gameplay loop. You need to think of Kay and Nix as one, because that's how they've been designed with the gameplay in mind. Traveling is a big part of the game too, and you're going to get to explore distinct planets with bustling cities, some that will be familiar to you, but also many that won't. For example, areas of Tatooine and Mos Eisley that you've never seen before. There's a new location in the game too, crafted by Massive and Lucasfilms called Tashara. It's been built from the ground up to almost be a beating heart of the underworld. And the developers traveled to Tanzania for reference. So you're going to see windswept plains, veins of amberine, and you're going to get a feeling of vast wilderness. Of course, in the trailer, we do see some kind of a speeder bike, and that will allow you to get around large areas of the game when you're on a planet. The main city of Tashara is called Miragana, which is a huge, vibrant place carved out of rock by the wind. And they did show this off in the Star Wars Outlaws behind the scenes video they released. But it's Tashara that we see in the original main gameplay walkthrough. One of the goals Massive said that they had when making these worlds that you travel to is that they wanted them to feel alive and bustling. And as it happens, that's something that Massive are known for. They've always been able to create very impressive large open worlds, and so I'm really excited to see what they can do in this large-scale Star Wars universe. Don't worry though, you're sure to see locations that you know as well, as I mentioned, such as Tatooine, many others, but expect different points of interest that you haven't seen before, each planet bringing new adventures and unique challenges, and of course rewards if you're willing to take the risks. And how exactly are you going to get between all of these planets? Well, you're going to need a ship, of course, and your ship in this game is called the Trailblazer. It's an EML 850 light freighter from the Republic era, and when you're not dogfighting against the Empire and other enemies, we see battles against TIE fighters, say for example, you'll use this to fly between planets. One of the goals Massive had was to have a seamless experience here, or at least as seamless as possible between going on foot to your speeder and then jumping in your ship and going off planet. That's something that I think can make a big difference, making the player feel really connected to the space that they're in. Pardon the pun, space is vast. When you get into space, of course, we've seen it in the trailers here. You've got combat, you've got dogfighting, and as you can imagine, the Empire are going to be on your back from time to time. But the devs also promised that when you're in space, it will be used for discovery too, and there's plenty of surprises up their sleeve in regards to when you're flying around in your ship. Being an outlaw, you know you're going to need weapons, and while we don't know too much about this, Kay is pretty handy with a blaster, and that appears to be what the gameplay is centered around. Even still, as you move through the game, your blaster will evolve just as you do, and you'll find it to be a central and versatile tool even outside of combat. The blaster can be upgraded with modules, for example, that you discover in the world. We saw one of them in the gameplay called Focused, and that's a module that allows Kay to fire multiple shots in a close grouping, great against shields. I'm sure there'll be many other blaster mods and upgrades in here too. In terms of general moment-to-moment gameplay, well, we saw traversal options where Kay uses a grapple hook to swing and pull herself up to higher areas. We saw her sliding down rooftops, sliding into a Sarlacc pit by the looks of it at one point. Death Troopers from Rogue One, well, they're just cool. And even what looks like a fight against an ATST. Ultimately though, reputation is what matters in Star Wars Outlaws, and we are nothing without our reputation, right? You'll have a rep with each of the syndicates in the game, but if you take a job that hurts a specific syndicate, then that could reduce your reputation with them enough that you'll only get limited opportunities through them going forward. And completing missions will grant Kay either credits or priceless artifacts. The story of the game isn't said to be all black and white though, because Massive themselves have said that the underworld isn't that straightforward, and they wanted to make a game to reflect that. As such, Kay will have various options and decisions to make. We see in the gameplay that Kay can choose to bribe an Imperial officer that she's meeting with, or choose not to. In the footage, she decides against it, and this has implications. There are said to be no right or wrong answers here, just a way to weave your own path through the game. This works together with the wanted system, which is ever present in the game. If you're caught or you challenge the Empire, and this could be of a choice that you've made in the past, like in the gameplay we saw, then you're going to increase that wanted level. If you carry on making decisions that annoy the Empire, then that level will rise to the point that the Empire will throw a huge amount of resources in your direction to try and catch you or take you out. But it's said that there will always be a way to either de-escalate this or evade your pursuers entirely. Finally, from the gameplay itself that we've seen so far, and there is a fair bit out there already, it looks like the game plays very much like a traditional third-person action game where you've got stealth options when approaching situations, or you can go all-out combat using all your tools to your advantage, as well as fully utilizing Nyx as a companion in the best way to get through combat situations, whether that's for stealth or going loud. And we've seen parkour elements too, stealth attacks that look pretty brutal. We've even seen vehicle combat on speeders, which makes sense when you think about how seamless Massive want this experience to be. Wrapping things up, Outlaws I think is shaping up to be an interesting Star Wars game. It's open world, which is cool, and we're also getting to play as a character that seems like she airs more on the bad side, getting involved with the criminal underworld, perhaps having some questionable ethics. And that in itself I feel gives new and exciting opportunities for interesting gameplay. As I mentioned too, we also know that Outlaws will be Star Wars canon, so we may see more well-known characters pop up throughout the story. And that's where I'm going to leave it today, folks. Do let me know your thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws down in the comments below, please. I'd love to know what you think about this one. And once again, a big thanks to Ubisoft for sponsoring this video. If you're interested in checking out the game for yourself, it is linked down in the description below. It releases on August 30th worldwide, and if you get the Gold or Ultimate Edition, you can play the game early on August 27th. Cheers for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.